Hi everyone, welcome to NARCShield. This is Jennifer and this is my second video on YouTube. I am so excited to be here, a little bit nervous still, but I am ready to start this channel. And I figured tonight that I would talk to you about my journey and how I got started in narcissism and give you a little bit of my background. And then I wanted to give you an example of gaslighting before I end, so we can kind of get started. I have said in my first video that I am a victim of narcissistic abuse, and I have been talking about narcissistic abuse, which is emotional abuse, for the past 4 years. I have a long history of narcissistic abuse, but how I learned about it was actually through a relationship that I had that I felt a lot of things just were different. I wasn't really sure exactly what was going on, and I questioned my judgment quite a bit. I really cared about this person, and what I will say is, I'm not going to say who he is, but what I will say is he talked to me a lot about what was going on with him, and he did end up going into therapy without me getting into a really long, drawn-out thing about our relationship. And through that, he told me so many things and shared many things with me along that journey, because he didn't understand what was exactly going on with him. He didn't recognize what was going on with him. But I was trying to figure out things with myself too, because I was feeling so hurt, and I felt like I was being blamed for a lot of things, and I just really cared about this person. I would have done anything for them, and we may talk about this a lot more when I give examples in later podcast. But I started to Google, just like a lot of people do, many things that were happening with me, things that I was feeling, and in doing so, I came across, I'm going to kind of skip now because, let me just tell you this. Before I had gotten into a relationship, I'm already feeling uncomfortable about telling about this relationship, so I'm kind of skipping. But before I was in that relationship with that person, I had been in a relationship before where I had been through a lot. And I was tired, I was beaten down, I wasn't really feeling that confident with myself at the time. And it was just the perfect storm for this person to come in and groom me, and that's kind of how that went. So there are covert narcissists, there are overt narcissists, there are somatic, there are cerebral narcissists, there are different narcissists. I have been with different ones, and I am a codependent, a recovering codependent. So narcissist and codependent people are very attracted to each other, and usually that's the people that are together making the dance work. So it doesn't really work, but I mean, that's the dance that you see. So once that relationship ended and I had my discard or disengagement, I came across someone. I had done a lot of therapy. Backing up. I did a lot of therapy, a ton, and I took some time to myself. I was really hurting because I had come off the one relationship that was devastating to me to then go into another one that was equally, if not worse, devastating, because this person had known how hurt I was from the other one. But one was extrovert and one was covert, and I really didn't see it coming from the covert narcissist. And a covert narcissist is just not someone that their personality is more shy and they're quiet, and So you just don't picture them being like that. And where somebody who is extroverted, you would be like, oh yeah, they're so into themselves, and or they're arrogant and this, that, and the other, where it would be easier to see that narcissistic traits. And a covert narcissist, it is not. And it blew me away. It devastated me. And I think it hurt me so much more because I had come off that other one, and this particular relationship did last a long time. So I was broken, and I just didn't understand. And I had been in therapy. I was going through extensive therapy. I even did online therapy. I was going to a therapist. I was doing everything I could to take care of myself. I was at my doctor. I was depressed. I was talking to my doctor about it, and my doctor, and my therapist, they were all, rallying with me. My friends were trying to help me. I was isolating myself, and then I decided I needed to get away and take some time to myself to heal. And I did do that, but when I came back, I was researching online some things that I had been through that I was wanting to understand. And of course, I wasn't going to get my answers from the person that hurt me in the toxic relationship. So I had come across this guy that was doing, I don't even know who it was, but he was doing an interview with someone that he said was a narcissist, and he said his name was hgtudor. And I was like getting ready to take a nap, to be honest with you. I was so beaten down, and I didn't have a lot of energy at the time. I really was at a very low point in my life. And I was just going to listen to something while I was laying in my bed. And so out of curiosity, I was like, a narcissist who is saying that they're a narcissist. And it had come up with something that I had Googled, which was silent treatments. And so I was curious, and I decided to listen to this interview with this narcissist, hgtudor. And I laid there and I'm listening to the narcissist, and I was glued. I was wide awake at this point. And he was answering a lot of questions that I had had, and I was mad. I was really hurting. It wasn't making me feel better. I was really triggered by this man. And I remember when the interview was over, they had said his site name, which is narcissist.com, and I had missed it. So I was curious enough that I rewound this interview to write it down, and then I went to the narcissist or hgtudor's page. And on Facebook, it is Knowing the Narcissist. On YouTube, it's Knowing the Narcissist. And his blog page is narcissist.com. And so I went to narcissist.com. I looked at, he had all these blogs. I read a couple of them, and I was really angry, and I believe that I was transferring my feelings, my pain, kind of onto this man that I didn't even know, basically because he was a narcissist, and the things that he was saying, he didn't really have empathy. So I was not liking this man very much. And I remember sending him an email. I don't know why I did this, but I sent him an email, and I basically was like, I wouldn't, buy your books. You're just a cruel person. How could you do this to people? Basically saying those type of things. I don't really remember, but I remember saying something along those lines. And I had gone to, it was around the holidays, and I was going to my mom's for the holidays. And out of curiosity, while I was there, I went back to this guy's site, hgtudor, and I decided that I would just get one of his books and read one of the books. And so I did. The first book that I bought from him is called Fury. And I proceeded to read the book while I was on vacation. And I was really glued to this book. This man was describing things and answering questions for me that I had had for a long time. And as much as it was hurting me, it was making me sort of feel better. And so I bought the next book and the next book and the next book and the next book. And all the questions that I had were being answered by this man. And here I had been in so much therapy for a long time trying to heal. And I had isolated myself for about 9 months and was in a pretty deep depression for about 9 months. And I found myself kind of crawling out of this depression in a weird way because I was finally getting that closure that I needed. It was really difficult. I can remember reading one of his books, and I apologize if he sees this. I can't remember which book it was, but he was explaining that narcissists do not love. And I can remember it was 3 o'clock in the morning and I was bawling to think that, well, I got up and I had this bench at the end of my bed. So now I get emotional sometimes, so I apologize. But I might on my channel, so, just roll with me with it. But I'm going to be as real as I possibly can. Sometimes it's going to be hard for me to share certain things because it does trigger me, because I'm reliving it. And we who are victims do go through CPTSD, basically post-traumatic stress disorder. We do relive these things. And I had gotten up and I couldn't believe what I was reading. And I sat on this bench at the end of my bed and I just bawled. Like I cried, and I don't know when I cried that hard, because I was sitting there realizing, because I had looked back over my history and the long-term relationships that I had, many of them, and I was feeling like I had never been loved before, not really loved. And I didn't understand that. I knew that I was a codependent, and I knew that I did things to try to get people to love me. I was trying to be better, and I would do things and not hold boundaries for myself and take care of myself. I would rather take care of them than me. I knew those things, and I felt like I really loved these people, but to think that they never really loved me, it really triggered me, because it took me back to that last relationship that I had had. And I remember my partner at the time telling me that he had learned in therapy that he basically had been with me for a really long time and had been using me. And I guess he didn't realize that. He didn't realize what was going on with them. And I was stunned. I was so hurt. I didn't understand. And I don't think he did either. So it wasn't like he could explain it to me like hgtudor did in his books. I wish my partner could have explained it to me at the time. But he was going through a process, and he just didn't know how, but it came out really bad. And I was stunned because I had been with them for a really long time. And so basically, narcissists need narcissistic supply. So anybody that they are in a relationship with, no matter what that relationship is, you are basically an appliance to them. You are not a person that has feelings. They don't have empathy, so they can't empathize with you. And so you're just somebody who is there that they need to make them feel good, or do things that they need you to do for them that they don't want to do. So basically they are using you. And I just didn't understand it at the time, and it didn't feel good to me even when I read it from hgtudor. I apologize, my cat's in the background. I might have to get up and let my cat out. So I decided then, oh my goodness, just a second. Oh my gosh, just hold on one second, because I might mess this up. Hold on one second. Silly girl, it's bedtime. Oh my goodness. scared to cut it off because I'm scared I'll lose the video because I don't know what I'm doing yet. So I apologize. So I forgot where I was. Anyway, basically, so I decided that because hgtudor on his site, he has things where you can do consultations and things like that. I read everything that he had, everything. And I decided to do a consultation with him and just to try to heal. I was doing anything I could possibly do to try and heal. I was writing, which is one of my loves. I am not an editor, but I absolutely love to write. And I was doing a lot of that, but I just wanted to feel better. I was hurting so badly. And so I did. I contacted a narcissist, and it was the best thing I ever did. It sounds so crazy that a narcissist would have helped me through my recovery process, being that he has no empathy, but he was able to answer so many questions that I had because I was beating myself up. I was feeling so horrible about myself because of a lot of the relationships that I had had in my past, and I didn't understand the dynamic and why I had gotten into certain relationships. And it was just because of my personality. It was because I was great narcissistic supply for these people that happened to be. Not everybody was that I've been with, so I don't want people to wonder and guess and try to do all that. But it was enough that I needed to recover. So once I learned about narcissism and I tried to learn anything and everything I could, I then wanted to learn more about my personality type, which is the codependent, so that I could begin to heal. And it was this journey that I went on that was extremely difficult. I knew it wasn't a good idea for me to date at the time. I knew I needed to be alone. I was appreciative of the fact that I had taken so much time alone already, and that I was just on this journey into actually finally getting to know me and love me and take care of me. I needed to do that. I needed to take care of me, and I had not been doing that. And so part of my journey here is to be there for you and let you see that I've been there and help you get to the other side, because I'm still going through certain things, but I'm definitely way on the other side. You know, you still have to, it's like being an addict. You have to admit that you've had a problem. You need to stop trying to change someone else and do the work on yourself that you need to do. We can't change other people. We can't control that. And so the only person we can control is ourselves. And so I decided at my age, I'm a grown adult, and I'd been going through so much. I wanted something different, and I definitely wanted to be able to have a healthy relationship in the future, and I knew that I would not be able to do that if I didn't do the work on myself and learn as much as I could about me and narcissism and toxic relationships. So that is kind of my backstory and how I got started. And I am very appreciative to the narcissist that helped me get through to the other side, because I really needed that wake-up call. And so his name is hgtudor. Again, he's at narcsite.com. He is Knowing the Narcissist on Facebook and Knowing the Narcissist on YouTube. He has so much great information if anybody's interested in going there. And if you need a consultation, he has many different consultation packages on his site. I have to give him credit where credit is due. And I know many people may not understand that, but it was vital for me. And everybody's different in the way they go through their healing process and the way they choose to do it. I admit that I was one of the people in the beginning that did have some transference, and I was blaming him as if he was the person that had hurt me. But then I recognized that, and I was willing to listen and hear what he had to say and read what he had to write. And it made a lot of sense to me. It was like light bulbs going off all over the place, and I was able to begin my healing process. And so here we are today, and I speak, it's been 4 years, and I speak on narcissistic abuse, and it happens in all areas of our life. And if you are someone that is a codependent or a very empathic person, which I am also extremely empathic, you are a prime victim for someone like that. They will prey on people like you because you have what they need. They know that you're going to work hard to give them everything, and they know that they can exhaust you of all of that. And unfortunately, it can destroy you if you allow it. And I just wasn't willing to let it beat me. And I'm so happy today that I have come through such a horrible storm, but I don't regret any of it. I don't regret those relationships. I really don't. It really helped me grow and learn a lot about myself. And I really do like myself now, where at one time I really didn't like myself that much. So anyway, there are so many different things that happen when you are in a toxic relationship, such as a narcissistic relationship with someone. It is abuse. It is mental abuse, emotional abuse. And so there are going to be lots of terms that you're going to hear from me and other people that speak on narcissism, and one of them is gaslighting. And gaslighting is a tactic. It's a manipulative tactic that narcissistic people use to try to confuse people and make them question their own judgment. It is also called crazy making. And there was also a movie that was made called Gaslight on it a long time ago. It's a really good movie. I like old movies. So if you're interested, it's called Gaslight. You can check it out, and it'll show you what it is. But I will probably use lots of examples throughout the channel on gaslighting, but it is something that they do, and it makes you feel weird, and it makes you question things when you're like, huh? But it's like quiet. Like, you don't see that it's a manipulation at all. You don't see it. And it happens so much that eventually you really don't trust your judgment at all. You will literally be asking everybody else and searching for answers everywhere else because you feel crazy. You're too scared to even ask anybody because you're questioning yourself so much. And another thing that you will hear me talk a lot about is trauma bonding. And so I was actually babysitting today, and while I was babysitting, I decided to watch like this old movie, and it's called Hook, and it has Robin Williams in it, and I believe Dustin Hoffman played Hook, and he did a really good job. Both of them did a really great job. And I noticed, I was so blown away by this movie. See, it's easier for me to go into something else and start talking about myself, but this movie blew me away. And many movies now that I'm aware of a lot of things, I notice so much. And so this movie blew me away. So in this movie, the Robin Williams plays a father, and he is completely self-absorbed and distracted, and he doesn't give his family a lot of attention. And his name is Peter, and he just basically doesn't even seem to notice his family or care. He's always blowing them off. They're always in his way. You know, he's just busy with work, and that's just more important to him. And eventually, let's just skip. He ends up, finding out that he is Peter Pan. So I'm skipping way ahead, but he finds out that he's Peter Pan and he needs to go and save his children from Hook, okay? And if you've seen the movie, then you kind of know where we're at. So, and Hook is trying to trauma bond which is actually Stockholm Syndrome, basically. He is taking Peter's kids and he has them in basically like this classroom setting, and he is trying to gaslight them and trauma bond them to him and believe him and come on his side and believe that he cares for them. And so he's trying to convince them that, hey, look, your parents don't care about you. And the little girl, she's really strong with her boundaries. And she's saying, that's not true, that's not true. And she's holding firm. And the little boy does feel like his parents don't care about him, his dad. He feels like his dad doesn't care about him because his dad had gone, well, Hook says to the little boy, he says, you know that your father, I'm making this part up because I don't really know if this is exactly what he said, but basically, this is what I got. He didn't really care. He went to your sister's game, but didn't he miss the most important game of the year for you? I guess it was a baseball game. And the kid was like, yeah, he did. And that was really hurtful. He didn't care about you. He didn't want to go. Basically, he's letting him think, yeah, he didn't care about you. He cared about her more than you because he went to hers but didn't go to yours. You're not important to him. So the little boy is kind of starting to become the victim of Hook, where the little girl is basically looking over going, no, that's not true, that's not true. Mommy and Daddy read stories to us every night when we go to bed, and he says, your parents only read the stories to you because they want to get rid of you. They want you to shut up. They don't want to hear you. It's like they read to you just to make you be quiet because you're so needy and annoying. And so this little girl for a half a second sits and goes, she's starting to question her own judgment. The little boy is definitely questioning it, and he's starting to fall prey big time, but the little girl still holds strong. So Hook sees that he can't get the little girl to believe him, but he can see that it's working on the little boy. So he's like, you know what, I'll get rid of the little girl. I don't really need to deal with her. I'm going to groom the boy. So he takes the boy under his wing and he decides to give him all kinds of attention. And so I'm going to use terms that hgtudor uses on his site. Many people will use different other terms, but hgtudor calls it the golden period. You will hear other people call it the love bombing stage or the idealization phase. I'm going to call it the golden period, like hgtudor. And so he decides to give this little boy, I believe his name was Jack, the golden period. And he gives him all kinds of attention, and he starts to call him son. You're my son, and I'm so proud of you, kind of thing. And he decides to give him, we're going to recreate this baseball game that your father didn't go to, and I'm going to go, and we're going to have everybody in whatever they call the land, they're all going to show up and everybody's going to cheer for you. And so they have the game, and all the flying monkeys, I'll tell you what flying monkeys are in another time, but all the flying monkeys, basically the people that Hook puppets and has do all his dirty work, they're all there for the baseball game, and they're all cheering Jack on, and Jack is he's flying, on cloud 9. I'm being recognized by all these people, and it feels so good to finally be noticed and cared for. And Dad is actually watching, and he can see from afar, and he's realizing, wow, I'm so proud of my son, and he's hurting. And Hook is only doing this. He's using the child. So this is where the using part comes in, where I was talking about before, where my ex was telling me how they just used me the whole time, and that they had learned that in therapy. Hook is using this child and manipulating the child and pretending to care about him only to hurt Peter because he wants to get at Peter. He doesn't care about this kid at all. He's just an appliance to him that he needs in the moment. And he doesn't have any empathy for this kid. This kid doesn't realize it. He just loves that he's being catered to, and he's finally getting some attention and validation from this man. And so Peter decides that he is going to go and try to get his son and his daughter, but he goes to Hook. And this was something that I noticed as well. So there is a cycle of abuse, and you go through it quite often, at least 9 times, maybe more. You can go through it many times with a narcissist, but it is the golden period, which some call idealization phase or the love bombing phase. Then there's the devaluation phase, and then the discard or the disengagement phase, which is what hgtudor calls it. And so he goes, I had to tell you that because of this part. So Peter goes to Hook, and his son is dressed like Hook now, and he's all forgotten who his dad is. Basically, he is all trauma bonded, and he is Hook's son at this point. It's only been 3 days, and he's already hooked. No pun intended. And so Hook is feeling pretty good about himself, and he he has this button that he can push, and there's these stairs that go down, and it's like the red carpet. So it's the red carpet for him to go down and up. But when Peter comes to go up to get his son and get closer, he hits that button, and it's not the red carpet, because he's devalued. You're not superior to me. I am superior to you. You do not get the red carpet. So I just noticed this stuff in this movie. I was like, this is so crazy. So Peter, obviously goes up, and he's saying, come on, Jack, come with me. I believe that's the kid's name. And he says, come home with me. And Jack goes, I am home. And Hook says, I'm his father, and this is my son, basically. And he's like, no, I'm your father. And this kid, eventually, everything works out, and it all, happy ending and everything. But it was a great example of how kids, people, grown-ups even, are groomed in, and it can be so quiet the way it happens, and it happens to so many people, even the flying monkeys. Everybody in a narcissist's life is an appliance. So if you think you're special, you're not. It's so sad to say that, but it's true. You are not special to them. You're just somebody that they need to carry on with life. And when they don't need you anymore, you will be discarded or disengaged, as hgtudor calls it, because hgtudor says basically it can be put on a shelf. I call it toy box, but he says on a shelf, and when they need you again, they might come back around and bring you off the shelf for a while and get a respite period, just to get what they need out of you. So I wanted to give you, some examples of what some of this stuff is, and I think that was a really good way to describe it, and I'm going to try to find ways to make it easier for people to understand. It is really sad. I hate that I say all the time, and I'm going to try really hard not to, so please don't pick on me for it. I'm just learning, so we'll see. I'll get better at this. There, I did it again. So we did gaslighting. We talked on trauma bonding, and a little bit about the devaluation and letting you know that you are an appliance. Narcissistic people do not feel love. They do not have empathy. They are self-entitled people. They believe they are superior to everyone. There are covert narcissists. There are overt narcissists. There are somatic narcissists. There are cerebral narcissists. And we will talk about all the different types of narcissists as the channel goes on. But until next time, thank you so much for being here. I'm happy to be here. I'm hoping that I can help you in some way. And we will journey together, and I will support you as much as I possibly can. I've been there. I know how bad it feels, but you will come through to the other side. I promise. I'm not hurting anymore the way I did. I may get triggered when I talk about certain things, and I may go back and feel those things. But believe me, I'm feeling so much better. Doing great. I've learned how to create boundaries. I'm holding them. I've taken the time that I've needed to heal and to get to know myself. And I don't let people walk all over me. And if they try, they may think that they are, but on the inside, I know who I am. They may think they know me. I know me. And I validate myself. I don't let other people try to tell me who I am anymore. And it does happen a lot. It happens many times. People still try to do that with me, but it doesn't work, even if I'm silent about it. So until next time, I look forward to seeing you. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you'll like, share, and subscribe to my new channel. Thank you. Bye.